Welcome to Split the Defense.
Split the Defense.
LEAFS Postgame Edition. Split the Defense is presented by LaForest Electrical Contractors. Professional and efficient service since 2004, serving the Kingston and surrounding areas. Alongside co-host Craig Pearce and producer Ted Evans, here's your host, Jordan Webster.
Well, CP, I'm pretty sure whatever Keith said last game worked because this game was much different. We had Gio dressing in for Liljegren, scoring a goal, 10 shots on goal, but no number 60 for Matthews. And the Leafs take the Caps easily 5-1. They could have had more if it wasn't for that pesky Lindgren and that dog too. The Leafs had 48 shots tonight. Lindgren stopped 43. We're back on Split the Defense, Leafs post-game. Thumbs up this episode, subscribe to our YouTube, rate us 5 stars, and get her going in the comments. So who do you got for first star tonight, CP, and what do you take away from this one?
I think I'm going to give it to Gio. Really good game from Gio for sitting out for so long, and to score right off the bat was good. I loved his celebration too, where he's kind of pointing up for a little bit of a homage to his dad. So
that one's for Dad.
Yeah. So I really like that. It was good to see Gio back. I was a little bit nervous because, first off, he went out last time kind of in a somewhat of an injury situation. Could have been much worse, but and also just he's a guy that we potentially need to see down the road. So I could see in the playoffs that he slots into a few games. So good to get him into some games. And I mean, just otherwise, it's hard not to give it to Bert though, because 2 goals, had a really good game. The line's still vibing. So
well, they're lucky. I love them, but they're both lucky. Goaltender gave one away. The other one went off his back. He banked it in. Two good goals, 2 lucky goals. Yeah, 2 good goals. Not he sniped or anything though. No. But yeah, good goals. So yeah, we had Gio in because Maple Leafs defenseman Timothy Liljegren was not available all of a sudden before the game started. So then Gio gets the call. He dresses in, scores a goal. We had Gio with Timmins tonight. Now, all in all, can't say much bad about that, can you?
No, defensively in general, it's there's a few instances where they had some trouble defending in front of the net, just kind of the typical Leaf thing. But for the most part, a way better game than last game. It's maybe a little bit easier of competition, but I just enjoyed how they played tonight. You still got a lot of offense, but defensively, especially with guys out of the lineup, look pretty decent. Timmins too, that's again a little pairing that I'm a little worried about going into the game, but definitely played really well. Timmins is just one of those guys where he can have some really good games, he can have some really awful games, and today he kind of had a good game. Maybe not a really good game, but a good game.
He had a good game. He has flashes. He does look good. He makes good moves, and when he makes bad moves in the same game, it really it scratches it all out. But he has skill there. You can't blame the guy. He hasn't fucking played. He's been sitting on the bench for 3 years or hurt. He hasn't played much. He's got to play the game to refine his game and get good. If he's never fucking playing, then he's never gonna get the chance to do that. So hopefully he gets more time. Hopefully, is he still on contract next year? Or is this his second year?
One more year.
So we got him 1 more year. So maybe he plays more next year. Who knows? Maybe he can find it. But really, the story tonight was a Joe Woll comeback game. Was it not, CP? He had that tip-in goal by Dowd, but that was one of the most beautiful tips I've ever seen in my life. When that went in, I went, you can't stop that. That was amazing. What a tip. But you can't blame Joe Woll for that. Besides that, he just shut them down.
Yep, for sure. A lot of help from his defense. No, he didn't have to stand on his head a lot, which is always nice for a goalie. But yeah, great confidence booster, I'm sure, for him. Good to see him just be regular Joe Woll again. I feel he had similar games to this, quality wise and how easy it was, his kind of first 2 starts, and still didn't go so hot. So yeah, good to see him to be able to control it, and great game from him.
Great game from Joe Woll. It's nice to see a bounce back from him.
Yeah.
Ilya Samsonov is apparently ready by his own words. He's available.
There's the
But
backup.
still, yeah, it's nice to see Joe Wool playing well. I'd like to have them fight for that position. All in all, I'd like them the next, there's only 10 games. That's the problem. 10 games left in the season. But all in all, I'd like to see Joe Wool come out at the end of the season and us be like, yes, he's the guy. But I mean, with 10 games left, it's hard for me to not just back Ilya Samsonov as your game one starter. If he does well, he keeps playing. You pretty much you play till you lose kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I think ideally you want to have the decision made like a week before the playoffs. But that's like 6 games away. So
yeah.
yeah, it's one of those where it's probably going to come down to like the last 2 games, and we might not be sure who it's going to be besides just who sits. And who sits the last couple games is probably the guy who's going to go on game 1. But yeah, it's going to come down to it.
It's a good problem to have, having both goalies playing good rather than having them both play like shit and not knowing who you're going to play. And Wes be talking about, well, maybe Martin Jones is a viable option. At least we don't have to go down that road.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if we had to go down that road, but yeah, really nice that he's a clear third guy. So
yeah. So Matthews was really pumping it tonight. 10 shots on goal. Do you think that they were, I mean, I know they were up 5-1, but do you think it was too obvious at the end of the game there? He was firing everything. The puck was constantly going to him. And maybe he just needs to sneak that 60th in and get it off his chest, and then he'll get through and he'll score, 4 or 5 more. Can't wait any more games. It's going to start building up here. He's going to start to feel it when it starts to get less and less games and he's only gotten 6, because he's supposed to get 70, right? The talk all year has been 70, and now he's struggling to get 60. Now, we got 10 games left, and then you get 9 games. If he doesn't score for 3 more games, he's looking at 7 games. The pressure's going to be on for him to reach that achievement again. No doubt he'll reach it, but I just wonder if maybe they are trying a little too hard to get it tonight.
Yeah, for a guy who was questionable to be in this game because I think of illness, definitely was pretty outstanding. At the beginning, in the first couple periods, I didn't see as much of the just trying to get everything on, and he's really developed his playmaking. I feel since Marner's been gone, not gone, injured, out. So I really like his game off the start, but yeah, no question that he was just trying to get it. I kind of hate these situations. Like Marner when he was chasing 100, and there's just I feel like I hate chasing records. And if he ended with 59 goals, I wouldn't care. But I mean, it wouldn't bode well going into the playoffs, I guess, if he wouldn't score for the rest of the season. But I think the 70 days time is over. If he gets 60, 62, 65, whatever it is, it's amazing, so hopefully if he does go on a little dry spell, then the last 3 games, 4 games, he gets 1 in each, maybe he has a 2-goal game, just to kind of, like you said, build some confidence. And potentially I guess he's going to sit out maybe a game or 2 before the end. That has
probably
been tradition,
more than likely. Yeah. But it's not out of the question for Austin Matthews to have another hat trick before the end of the year. It's it's not complete. I wouldn't be crazy. I wouldn't be crazy if I was to say he could get 2 more hat tricks before the end of the year. That's just how crazy this guy is. So you never know. He could end up with 66, 67, 68 somewhere here, just by scoring in a few more games. But I just think that he was forcing it a little bit too much tonight.
Yeah, he was for sure. He's like the 2-goal champ, right? He loves getting 2 goals in a game. So mix in a couple of those, a few single games, maybe a hat trick. But yeah, you can climb up there pretty quick. And I don't know, realistically, what's his goal currently? Is it is he just trying to break 60? Is it just getting more than last time, which would be 65, right? Or I just think what's his goal, and I hope it's still not set too high. Where we're
it should
going
be
down this
to
road.
play the right way. His goal should be to be able to learn to score goals while playing the right way. Now, maybe 60 is something that you want to get because he'd be the only active player in the league with 2 60-goal seasons. That'd be something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not going to be forever. The point is that that's got to be it, right? After he scores 60, that's why I say it's a monkey off his back. He's got to get it off his chest. He's got to get that sneaky one that, just let it happen. And then that's where I think the hat trick nights could come in. There's still 10 games. Like, that's still 10 games worth of hockey he could score. Like, I mean, if he scores at the pace that he does, then there's a good chance he gets another few goals before the end of the season. And who doesn't say they all come in one game?
The good thing is that he's like his line's still being productive, and like maybe he's not putting it in, but Bertuzzi got 2 tonight, so like it is nice that even though he's not chasing it so hard that he's not like losing his minutes or anything. It's just when it comes down to the last 10 minutes, like all bets are off basically. I mean, when it's 5-1, like I'm not too upset about it. Like if this was like a 3-2 game against Carolina, I would have like something more to say, but if he wants to fire a few more pucks on that, like, it's not the end of the world.
No, I'm not going to kill him for it. I just think that it's going to come a lot easier for him if he doesn't force it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Dewar scores his 11th goal of the season and his first as a Leaf.
Yep.
You know what I was thinking tonight when Connor Dewar scored? I was thinking, this kid is exactly what we hoped that Noah Gregor was going to be. But he's not. When we heard about him, like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. And then we watch him play and we're like, oh no, that's not okay. That's not who he is. But Dewar, he's really got that bottom 6 grinder role to him, and he can score 11 goals on a season potentially, right? And it's not like he was playing juiced up minutes in Minnesota. He was on the 4th line, so he scores 10 goals, 11 goals, maybe 12 goals by the end of the year. On the 4th line. That's a good player, and that's a great Noah Gregor replacement, because you're gonna need another Noah Gregor going into next season, and Dewar will 100% be that guy.
Oh yeah, like Dewar's like 10 times better than Gregor in my mind. Like even when you're not noticing him, it's because he's like constantly doing the right thing and just on the right side of the puck, covering for the centerman even when he's playing wing. And if he can pot 10 goals, like 11, 12 from a 4th line spot, like I'll take that guy every day of the week. Like he might not be the biggest guy, but he plays like a little bit feisty. He gets into the areas. He'll dig on the goalie too. Like he doesn't seem to be afraid of anyone. So yeah, like when we talked about him initially, I was a little afraid that a 4th liner from Minnesota coming to play for the Leafs, like is he a 4th liner, or is he really like a the next man in kind of a guy? But I have him penciled in. I think he's responsible enough, and I'm not going to put him up in the top 6, but he could go anywhere in the bottom 6 and play any position. Like I'm not sure if he plays on the right wing, but I wouldn't doubt that he could.
He's been playing wing, but he's centerman, right? Or has he been playing? I don't know if he's been playing center down there. No, because that would be camp.
No, he had a couple shifts tonight where he was like a centerman. I think it was like instead of Holmberg on the other line. Camp wasn't on the line. If he's out there with Camp, he's playing the wing.
He can play both. That's the point.
Oh, yeah.
He can play both. So either way, a guy that's going to score there's a potential that he's 24, finding his pace, he gets up into a 3rd line role as a grinder, an energy kind of guy. He could end up putting 15 in the net. That could be a guy, right? So speaking of that, Bobby McMahon has 14 goals this year. At the beginning of the year, if I told you Bobby McMahon was going to have 14 goals, you would have told me that I was crazy and very optimistic.
Oh yeah, that would have been a really optimistic take. I think that I would have expected 5. Like if he scored 5 up and down the lineup, or in and out of the lineup, I should say. That's kind of what I expected from Bobby. Because it's not like it's the first time we've ever seen him. He was a guy that he came in and he had impressed in the previous season, and we wanted to see him more. But I didn't think that he would be a top 6 kind of guy. Scoring what'd you just say, 14?
14 now.
Yeah, that's not anywhere where I would have expected him. So
yeah,
and
nobody
think
did.
that he wasn't in this position from the start. So if he's in a on Tavares wing from game 1, this is a 20 goal scorer.
Yeah, that's straight up. He's a 20 goal scorer. Yeah, and honestly, it's funny because I had this feeling about McMahon, and it's you have this feeling about some guys and just the way that they play, and I remember hearing about him and the way he scored like 20 goals in 30 some games last year or something like that for the Marlies as a rookie in the AHL. Just like unbelievable. The kid, he's got it, right? Now he's starting to find his role in the top 6. Bobby McMahon, 14 goals. What a stud. He's penciled in 100% in the top 6 for game 1 of the playoffs. And I say going forward into next season.
Yeah. And like to think that we were just interchanging him and Gregor in a lot of lineups. And it couldn't be like one of those guys has had like a really positive trend this season, and the other one not so much. Not to be too hard on Noah Gregor, but he's not in my playoff
he didn't
lineup.
work out.
No,
he didn't work out.
But like that's kind of why you get these guys that are at like a low cap hit. You get a bunch of them, and you don't expect all of them to pan out. But if you get 1 or 2 of them, then that's all you really need.
Tree is, you can see the type of player that Tree is going for, and I like it a lot more than the type of player that Dubas went for. And I was so adamant about Dubas being a good GM, so I'm not going to sit here and shit on Dubas, but Tree has really got that style of player. They come in and I'm like, yes, that's what we need. Yes, more of this. Just leave it to the guys that we already have here to do the fancy dancy stuff and have all the good numbers.
I feel like Dubas manages a team like he doesn't watch the game, where Tree manages a team like he's been on teams. So that I just love that. I couldn't be happier with the GM change. I know that like it was pretty dicey in the first little bit, with the Klingberg and Reeves not onto a good start, but just the general scope of like you said, the type of player he's after is way better. Like I like this team way better going into the playoffs than last year. Like I predict that they'll be the tougher team in a series, which is just crazy. The Leafs, the tougher team. Like it's been like how long since that was a thing?
I think they will. I think they're honestly going to go in and they're going to wreck shit better than they have in years previous. All right, I've got questions here from Steven Land. This guy's been awesome. Thanks for commenting, Steven. We love having you here. So he wanted to know, how many jerseys do you guys own? So how many jerseys do you own, CP?
That's kind of like, I don't have them all in here. So like, I think like 10, of different sports, something like that, all Toronto. And I have 1 Kobe Bryant jersey.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've only got 2. I've got 1 Marcus Stroman Toronto Blue Jays jersey that I got as a giveaway a bunch of years ago. It's this Honda.
I love giveaway jerseys.
Awesome. Yeah, love giveaway jerseys. Then my other jersey is the Leafs jersey that used to hang in the background before I got this awesome split the defense piece given to me by Stephen Burnett. That gem of a guy printed for me. But yeah, I only have 2, and then Ted's got like hundreds. I don't know. It says here, he's got in the comments, he commented back, he's got 10 in the backdrop plus 7 more upstairs. I don't believe that. I think it's more like 70 more he's got. There just seems to be so many this guy's got all over the place.
We need to see Ted. Ted, you need to show off your jersey collection for the people. Hey, here he is. Yeah, look at
unbelievable.
That. Yeah.
Look at the names: Stahl and Crosby and Gretzky, Kane, Howe.
Yep. That's the dream wall right there.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Stamkos up in the corner. Yep, that's so good. So good. All right, what else do we got here? Okay, I wanted to ask you one more thing, and before I ask you what else you got for this, Tyler Bertuzzi, we've talked about this before. 51 games, he had 6 goals. In his past 19 games, he's got 12 goals. 12 goals in 19 games. That's like Austin Matthews pace. This guy's scoring goals. How much is it going to cost to get him re-signed?
That's something that I've put off thinking about for a very long time, because it wasn't worth thinking about for the longest time because Piwa probably wasn't coming back. But since, like you said, the last 19 games, like I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if he's worth, if it's like $6 million a year, if it's $8 million a year. Like, I have no idea. And how many years you would give him, especially for having like,
oh no, well, he's not going to be a Leaf.
Yeah, well, not if he's an $8 million player, that's for sure. The thing is like you can tell that he's a guy that runs off of vibes. Like he was willing to take a discount to stay in Boston because he really liked it there. They just had 0 cap to give him and length to give him. So I think like there's a like he's a guy that would take a discount. You know, not like when people say discount, like we're not talking millions of dollars here. You know, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think he'll be willing to drop if he really enjoys this room. So but I don't know. Like, was he willing to take like the same 5.5 for more years, and the Leafs just weren't willing to give him the term, or was he looking for like 6 or 7 for a big contract, and that's why he settled for 5.5? So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of tricky. Where do you think he sits? Like,
Well, he's 29, right?
Yep.
So if you give him
In his
8
late
years, then you could give him 5.5 or 6 for 8 years, I think. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's more likely that a better deal and a more likely deal is going to be a team's going to give him 5 or 6 years at $7-ish million. That's my guess is where Tyler Bertuzzi's going to land.
The thing is like I totally give him that. Like he's so worth it. Judging him on most of his career and just basically forgetting about the first 3 months of the season, it's just the cap hell that this team is on. So like I think he's worth it, you know, and especially I think we'll really see how much he's worth it come playoff time. But I like, yeah, this is the crappy part. This is like the Zach Hyman effect thing where it's just like, yes, like he's worth the money, the contract that he's getting. And now Zach Hyman's worth like triple what he's making, but maybe not triple, but like double.
Yeah. Well,
so like, yeah, it's just
Zach Hyman and Tyler Bertuzzi aren't the same player, though.
It's kind of the same at the time, though. Like, I'm not saying that Bertuzzi's going to turn into what Hyman is once he leaves the Leafs, but like I feel like they're similar as a part of the Leafs at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think it helped that he went to go play with, McDavid. If Bertuzzi could go, that's probably where he's going to go anyways, right? If he doesn't sign with the Leafs, you know where he's going to the Oilers. Like they're going to go next year. If they don't win this year, like they're going to end up winning the cup with like 14 fucking Leafs on it or previous Leafs on that team. It's like, oh yeah, that guy used to be a Leaf. That guy used to be a Leaf. Oh yeah, now they all won with Connor McDavid. And guess what? He re-signs in Edmonton and we all cry. So that's just how it's going to be. I think he's going to make a boatload of money though. And I think he's worth it. I just don't think the Leafs are going to be able to end up paying for that $7 million deal. And if we're getting into the nitty gritty of it, the Leafs fucked up so hard by not giving Zach Hyman the $5 million or whatever to no trade. Apparently, like I'm hearing that Zach Hyman only didn't sign in Toronto because he couldn't get a no trade contract.
Yeah,
or no trade clause.
It was a sub $5 million contract, and they wouldn't give him a no trade.
Like for fuck's sakes, you stupid idiots!
Like. I couldn't be more happy Dubas is gone. Wait, that's a Dubas thing, right?
Fuck's sakes. Yeah, that's him trying to fucking finally own his balls or whatever. Like, that's just so bad. So bad losing him for that.
The more interesting contract to me is the Domi one because I think Domi's definitely staying.
Yeah.
It's just like he's definitely worth more than he's gonna make for a Leaf. Like they're gonna squeeze that guy. And
4x5, I think you give him $20 million.
Yeah. Like we kind of went over the amount, but like I'm just interested to see, if like is that a one that's actually going to pan out? Because like I have a little bit written off Bertuzzi being here next year, to be honest. Like
a little bit, yeah. I don't expect him here either.
Yeah,
but Domi,
I feel like a long-term player here, and so yeah, like that's the more interesting one that I want to see because that'll be a Leafs contract, not Bertuzzi making 7 by 8 for, like you said, Edmonton or the Canucks or something. So.
There was a pass tonight made by Max Domi that I think 17 out of 18 other players tonight would have dumped in. And he took it to the line and he just kind of feathered it in as a dump. And Matthews was able to skate over the line. He didn't have to chase after it. It was just like right there for him. The guy's got such a great pass on him. The other night, he snapped one to William Nylander. It was one of the hardest passes I've ever seen in my whole entire life. William Nylander was standing on the half boards or whatever, or right at the blue line, opposing blue line. And Domi just snaps him a pass. And it was one of the hardest and most accurate passes. And Willie just, boom, takes it and goes. He's just got such a nice playmaking touch to him. You don't want that guy to go. Like, he can stick around for a long, long time here.
Yeah, and like he even caught Matthews off guard with his stick not on the ice last game.
Yeah.
just snapped it from like behind the net.
Backhand.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, that's hard to do. And it's like, there's a Marner type of like, finesse to his saucer passes. Like, especially he's
Yes.
coming into the zone, like feeding a man coming down the wing. And yeah, like there's only a few guys in the league that can really like, pick up and put down a puck like that close together, that speed. And like, there's two of them on the Leafs, and it's Marner and Domi. Like it's hard to see anyone else that has the talent to pass like that. Bertuzzi actually does surprise me a lot with how good his passing is, especially backhand passes. Like I swear that guy can backhand it like crazy. But yeah, he's in that top tier of playmaker, and like if he just could play
100%.
defense a little bit better, this would be like a $7-8 million player. But like,
yeah,
he
and
just
I don't
lacks
want that.
I
don't
know,
want
because
that.
we couldn't afford him.
No, I like exactly Domi how he is. He's perfect how he is.
Yeah, I just mean he would be like Marner, but
yeah, absolutely. And then
I
he'd be
agree,
playing
though.
on some other team that
Yes,
didn't already
yeah.
pay all their
Yeah.
players. But yeah, I think that's a great point to make, that Domi's probably more likely a long-term stick-around guy. Do you have anything else on this game, CP?
Not really. Nope, that's it.
Well, do you want to do a little Jays corner? Because today was opening day for the Toronto Blue Jays in all of baseball. In fact, we think we had all 30 of 30 teams in action today, and the Toronto Blue Jays took on the Tampa Bay Rays. Final score of 8-2, so now they're on pace to win 162 games this year. They've got home runs from Springer, Vladdy, and Biggio. 3 home runs on opening day. The water is wet, buddy. Barrios, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. So good outing for Barrios. Now, I was worried after the first inning. Were you worried after the first inning?
Talk about 2 innings, maybe.
Yeah, 2 innings. Yeah, all the way through the order, 3 innings even.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt a little bit like last year. Just like Barrios, obviously he gave up a home run, very first very first batter. Sorry. But it was an excellent pitch. It was like 3 inches inside the zone. And, like I forget who he was, but just turned on it. And so like, yeah, he was pitching excellent, but just the offense was just getting stood up a little bit. And, that's going to happen. Like it's baseball. We can't like really, I'm trying not to dwell on last year too much, but it was kind of tough not to. Like, I think it was like 6 strikeouts, 9 batters, not looking the hottest. Justin Turner, the guy who's supposed to come up and kind of turn things around, be able to get a hit when they need him. He's kind of not doing it. But it was good to see that Biggio was the guy that really, cracked one to get it going. But the Vladdy home run, like 450, just demolished it.
Blasted it.
He smashed that ball. And like, that's one of the most important things for this Jays team is just that Vladdy gets back to who he was.
If this team wants to have any success, Vladdy has to be his best self. Bo Bichette, we are relying on being Bo Bichette again.
Yeah.
You need, I guess there's a couple players. You need George Springer and you need Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to be the guys that pull this thing together. And honestly, a better offensive season from Dalton Varsho, because last year was abysmal. I know he's a great defender, premium defender, plays multiple positions. The guy can catch if you want him to, which is awesome. And he can steal bases. He's actually had a really good spring. He stole a lot of base. He was like 8 for 15 or something like that, 8 for 16. But you need those guys to really find that offense. Cavan Biggio, that is just an absolute bonus. If that guy can start playing amazingly, I don't think he wants to be the second girl here anymore. Like, he doesn't want to be, he wants to be the belle of the ball. Like, like I am, like, I'm not just the other, a generational player. Like, my dad was here too, but like, he hasn't been as good. He hasn't been the talk since the very beginning as Vladimir Guerrero and Bo Bichette. But Cavan Biggio, man, if he can turn it on, all of a sudden this team's going to start to look scary.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with a lot of that. I'm not so confident in Springer, to be honest. Like, he's had an excellent spring, just like Vladdy has. But I mean, age is a thing in baseball, and like there's been like his downturn has started. There's no
Yep.
doubt about it. And he's not an excellent fielder. So, but I don't think he's as important as like you said, Vladdy, Varsho, Kirk. Kirk was a silver slugger 2 years ago. Like that's a guy who just was probably one of the biggest regressions.
Massive
Yeah.
regression. Yeah.
And when
hitting.
you can have a catcher that can like actually be a contributing hitter, put up 20, 25, 30 home runs, like that's something that's just one of the rarest things in baseball, And so I think he's extremely important to this team. And actually they have quite the duo in catching with Danny Jansen, who's, injured to
hurt
start.
right now.
But he'll be back, and I mean he'll probably be hurt again because that's just what he does. But he's good to be in there. He can be a DH when Turner needs a day off, and yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm being really positive about this team going in. I hear like a lot of people that I talk to about the Jays are just like they believe that it's same team, same result, but I feel like they were like impossibly bad at hitting last year. And I just think that like they're bound to be better there.
And
they're
hitting
also
with runners in scoring position, not so much at hitting. There's a bunch of guys who had good years in averages, and a few guys, hit good amounts of home runs. They just couldn't hit with runners in scoring position. And today they did that.
Yeah, to be honest, like today was the opposite of last year because like they were, like you said, hitting, but they would get about 1 or 2 hits an inning, end the game with 10 hits and 0 runs, where like the other team gets like 6 hits and 3 runs. And it's just the most frustrating thing in the world, like, yes, they're hitting, but just at inopportune times. And yeah, exactly. I just think the one thing is that their pitching just is not going to be as good as last year. Like they were so lucky injury wise. And I don't like, and already this season, we've seen that, Gosman has a little thing, Bassett has a little thing. It's nice that Barrios is like a veteran season opener guy. And it's just not going to be quite as good in the pitching department. And like they lost a really good reliever in Jordan Hicks. They're starting this season without Romano and Swanson.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, I think though that there's going to level out, and I see this being just like you could almost mail into me a 90 win season. Like I feel it. I think it's going to happen. The problem I just will get, just like I do when I watch the Leafs, is like you get to playoff time and, they've just put up 3 stinkers in a row. So, that's really when things will be determined, like how this season has gone. But I feel like the pressure's off them, and I think that they have a way better attitude this year too.
Yeah, well, hopefully they have better luck. Hopefully they can get some runners around the bases and score some runs. Baseball has begun. That means playoffs are right around the corner. And bad news, reading Twitter here, as per Luke Fox, Timothy Liljegren is going to miss some time, per Keefe.
With what?
Well, David Alter doesn't say either. Sheldon Keefe says Timothy Liljegren is going to miss some time for us. There's not much to hear on that, but he's not going to be playing for the next few games. So now you've got no Yarncroke, you got no Marner, now you got no Liljegren, no Edmondson.
Currently no Riley.
No Riley. Well, Riley's sick.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? It's an illness. Keith's like, it's not like it's an injury. He's going to be better and he's going to come back.
Yeah. And Marner's very close to being back as well. Yeah, that's very unfortunate, especially just like timing wise with how, he's really, been on one of those hot streaks that he's been prone to maybe falling off of, but he hadn't yet. So that's a tough one. I don't like when they say some time because like,
that's
like
just the way Sheldon Keefe always puts it.
He's also always lying. Like, how long was Marner day to day before he like joked about like, haha, I've been calling him day to day, but now he's actually day to day.
No, he was day to day away from being day to day. It's like, but what is his name? Bruno Caballoko or whatever his name was. He was 2 years away from being 2 years away.
Yeah, I know. But like it was like he was being like he was just nothing for the first couple days before it became that, so.
But
I don't know.
And now apparently he's day to day. He skated today. He did practice to fill the lines instead of Matthews because Matthews has got the shits as well. So apparently everybody's got the flu for the 18th time in the Leafs locker room.
Geez, vitamin C, guys, multivitamins. Like, what are you doing?
It's got to be the worst season for the flu for the Leafs, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
the worst.
I feel like as soon as they get out of it, like something else comes through. Like it was, what was it, like 2 weeks ago where Matthews was battling the flu or something? Like, yeah. Stop eating Chinese food.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad shawarma.
Yeah.
Too much Uber Eats.
That's right.
Anyways, I got one more. Connor Dewar on the biggest adjustment from being traded to Toronto. He says traffic.
God, I don't doubt it.
Coming from the Paw, Winnipeg, and then going to Minnesota.
Yeah.
I would think so too.
I forget who else it was that recently brought that up, but yeah, I mean, no question, the traffic in Toronto is ridiculous. It's crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so Maple Leafs play the Sabres again Saturday, 7 p.m. And what do you expect from that game? Do you think the Sabres are cooked? Or do you think they're just going to come and, fuck with the Leafs anyways? Or do you think they're cooked and they're actually just not a good team and they're not going to be good?
I mean, they always seem to play the Leafs tough, so I don't know. I'm always worried about Rasmus Dahlin, so yeah, we'll see. I think it'll be a tough game, and but we'll go from there.
Buffalo's coming off a back-to-back that night too. They played Jersey the night before.
Oh, good to know.
So they have that a little bit in your favor, maybe.
Loss for the Leafs.
Yep. So yeah, even better. They're definitely going to lose. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back on Saturday. After then, that's a wrap for now. Split the Defense, Leafs post game. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for commenting. Hit that like button. Subscribe on YouTube. Please rate and review the show. You can find us on X at STDP Hockey and search for Split the Defense on all other socials. Until next time, peace.
Peace. Thanks, Steven.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Split the Defense,
Split the Defense.
Leafs Postgame Edition. Hosted by Jordan Webster, Craig Pearce, and producer Ted Evans. Split the Defense is presented by LaForest Electrical Contractors. Professional and efficient service since 2004, serving the Kingston and surrounding areas.